Hey everyone, and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul, and today we're here at Gigabyte headquarters in Southern California. We've come all the way up the street, which is this is unique because it's actually my first time here, even though I've literally been working like on the same block as Gigabyte for quite some time. But Colin invited us over because Gigabyte is celebrating the launch of an insane amount of motherboards. How many motherboards are you actually launching along with the Haswell launch that's coming up?
Well, at launch for 8 series, we have a total of 30 motherboards.
Wow.
But obviously, that's global, so
okay.
North America will sell a little bit less than that.
Okay, so this video is sort of designed to give you guys kind of an overview of the entire series of Gigabyte boards that's going to be available at least at launch. We have a lot of them here, definitely not all of them, but it's going to kind of give you a sample of the entire series as well as some of the new technology that Gigabyte has integrated. And Colin knows all about this stuff, right, Colin?
Mostly.
He's going to do a pretty good job. What did you actually, Colin? You are the marketing manager for?
Yeah, marketing director at our headquarters in Taipei.
Okay, so Colin has actually come much further for this than we have. He's come all the way from Taiwan. But I digress. Let us go ahead and start out with the motherboard set. So we're talking Z87 boards here. These are all Z87. I'm going to sort of go like this, and I'll bring each motherboard up. And Colin's going to kind of give us a quick hit on each one because we're not going to do depth. All right, so first off, we have a mini ITX board. We're starting small. And what are a couple features from this motherboard? This is actually, I should say, the Z87N Wi-Fi.
Correct. So basically, this board is obviously a small mini ITX 17 by 17 form factor. Some of the highlights that we have a wireless module on board. This will do wireless and Bluetooth 4.0.
Nice.
It'll also do WiDi, Intel WiDi display.
So Centrino wireless N2230, WiDi compatible.
And we also have dual LAN on board. We're using, you can do teaming. Basically, you can use this as a nice little NAS system or a little LAN device. All
right, so suitable for lots of different applications, home theater PC, maybe a little home server, anything along those lines. There's a quick look at that. We're going to move right along because we have lots of boards to cover. So next up, I'm going to grab this one. This is the Z87X UD3H. So where would this fall in the product line as far as would this be more toward entry level, kind of mid-range?
Yep, so this is our performance segment. This is the low end of our performance segment.
Okay.
So basically what we've done is on this series, we've tried to take a lot of our high-end features and pull them down as far down the segment as possible. Even this UD3H board, we're still using digital power phases from IR.
Nice.
Power stages, I should say, and power phases, PWM controllers from IR. So basically digital power, you see these black capacitors as well. These are from Chemicon. They actually are rated at 10K, 10,000 hours at 105 degrees Celsius.
Very nice.
So we still have power button on board, clear CMOS reset. Basically, this is a nice little system. You can do overclocking on it. It's got a nice beefy heatsink on it, but it's going to be nice and price competitive.
Okay, so a great board for those of you guys who are looking for maybe a little bit more towards the budget. I like that you guys. I like your PCBs. I got to say that all these PCBs are this really nice, beautiful kind of flat black color, and you'll notice some design aesthetics at least that are universal throughout this whole product stack. Speaking of which, we're going to move along right up to the Z87X UD4H, so we got a red color scheme going here.
Yep, so you'll notice through the other boards, we all have different color schemes for this performance segment. Mm-hmm. A lot of our customers have asked us, we want to be able to do a red design for our chassis and maybe our water cooling system. So we try to hit as many different colors as possible for the series.
All right.
But we're also trying to keep it as simple as possible as well. So you don't see anything too blaring on it. Yeah, so this is UD4. So this UD4H, this will actually have a few more features, some more USB 3 ports, some more SATA ports. And as we go up the stack, you'll see more and more features added onto our motherboards.
All right, so there's a quick look at the UD4H. Same beautiful PCB. Okay. Next up, we have the UD5H. So this one has moved along to sort of gold and black color scheme.
Yep. So again, this is UD5H. We're doing things like we're putting the CPU socket here. It's a little difficult to see, but we're using 15 micron gold in order to plate the CPU socket.
Very nice.
We have this on all of our UD3H and above.
Okay.
This provides better signaling for our CPU. Again, more USB 3. This still has the digital power that I talked about earlier. Again, adding up more features along the stack.
All right, so there's a quick look at the UD5H. Next up, we have the UD5TH, and the TH stands for Thunderbolt. So this one is going to be similar in design, I would imagine, to the UD5H, but we also have Thunderbolt added?
Yep, correct. So if you'll notice on the back here, we have dual Thunderbolt ports. We're actually using Intel's new controller, Thunderbolt controller. That's for Haswell. And we're doing the dual ports as we did last generation as well. You can run 4K content off of a single port.
Nice.
So definitely, we're seeing that Thunderbolt, there's more adoption, there's more devices in the market, the price is coming down for cabling. So you'll definitely see more Thunderbolt on our motherboards in the future.
An excellent way to get some really, really high-speed external storage via Thunderbolt, and you can also daisy chain a display at the end of it, which is pretty crazy.
And we've got a Wi-Fi module on board as well, so you can have wireless and Bluetooth 4.0. And same, again, still digital power, adding more features up the stack, more PCI Express compatibility.
Very nice. And then again, the sort of chrome and red color scheme going on there. I really like the assortment of colors because as much as we like to talk about performance being king, it's also nice to have a case, or a system, I should say, where you got everything kind of color coordinated and it looks really nice. You get a side window, add some lights, all that. Anyway, okay. Next up, we got the Z87X OC. Is this the Force?
This is the Force.
This is the OC Force. So would this, where would this one fall? This is an overclocking board, kind of in the same range as the Z87. I'm sorry, the Z77X. Which was one of the really high-end overclocking boards?
Yeah, so this is similar to our UP7 for last generation. Basically, we've put all the features for overclocking and some other features as well on this board. This is not only for overclockers, but people who want a really high-end system. People who want to be able to use a water block system. As you'll notice, we've got a water block heatsink as well as a fan heatsink. So you can basically choose whatever sort of cooling that you want. We've got a whole bunch of new overclocking features for this board. We've got OC Touch, which you can do on-the-fly overclocking hardware-wise on your motherboard. We've got this guy right here. This is actually
a bracket there for your PCI Express graphics cards.
Yeah, we're calling that the OC Brace. So it just provides stability for if you're overclocking without having it in a chassis. So it braces up your graphics cards.
A little bit more support. Also holds them upright. Sometimes if you just set a card in there, which not that I have ever done that. I do that all the time. Sometimes it just sits off to the side. You don't get quite a stable connection there. I also like lots of ton of overclocking features on here. This board is almost designed to live outside of a chassis. In some respects. So you have all these surface-mounted overclocking buttons, all these voltage leads right here, so you can connect a multimeter and get your voltage read points. You got switches right here for your PCI Express slots, so if you do have, say, a water cooling loop or something like that set up, you can easily turn those off if you want to test fewer card configuration, go back and get your single card benchmarks before you switch on the rest of the slots. So tons of features there. Now this is pretty high end. This is kind of at the top of the stack, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So this I want to go to this one. So this is the
actually.
Wait, did I forget something?
I just wanted to show this is the first motherboard stand. We no longer have to have a stand for our motherboards.
Nice. So if you take it to a trade show or something like that, you can just prop it up. All right, so this is the Z87X OC, so kind of the baby brother maybe of the OC Force. But you were saying earlier, this one actually has more overclocking features than the OC Force?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to build a motherboard that didn't have the features that overclockers don't want.
Okay.
Obviously, this board will probably have less USB 3 than our other boards, maybe less SATA ports than our other boards, but we have every overclocking feature you can possibly imagine on this board. Some of them are new. We just developed our in-house overclocker, High Cookie, basically developed a lot of these features. One of them I just want to show quickly. This is our OC Ignition.
Okay.
basically, this button, if you enable it, you press it in, your power supply will always give power to your board.
I see.
So when you shut down, a lot of times, obviously, your system fans will shut down. You'll go through that. If you do a restart, reboot, it'll do like a 3-second delay and stop. Everything will stop. But this will actually have all of your fans continue to spin. It'll still give power to your PCI Express lane. So if you have an IRAM memory, it'll keep your IRAM settings.
Okay.
So it's good if you want to test a water block system without turning on the system. If you want to actually do some overclocking with LN2, if you have the system fans continually spinning, you will have less condensation from the LN2 vapor. So that's just one of the features that we have, and we've honestly got a ton more. We're using gold in the PCI Express slots and the memory slots. Again, the CPU socket is gold plated. We're using more beefy pins in our power connectors, and those are gold plated as well.
Is that again for overclocking if it's the system's drawing a lot of power?
Yeah, so we found that if you're using 4 graphics card, which this board does, and you're have a high-end CPU and you're overclocking that, the power draw is sometimes enough to maybe warp the socket.
Okay.
So we found that if we beef it up a little bit, and the gold is for better conductivity.
Okay. And then we have a set of switches and buttons up here on the upper left from the perspective of our viewers right now. Thank you. So what are these doing as far as overclocking settings?
So this guy right here, these dip switches, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. They basically turn off the power to the PCI Express graphics cards.
Okay.
So if you're doing overclocking, you're overclocking your VGA, and maybe you have you've taken off the heatsink and you've put a LN2 pod on the VGAs. You obviously don't want to have to physically remove them. Maybe you want to test a single card. If you do that and you have 4 cards in there, you have to remove all 3.
Okay.
But this one will actually power down the graphics slots. So you can leave the cards in, power it down, and only test a single card or 2 cards or whatever. We've got on-the-fly overclocking buttons, ratio, B-clock up and down, different settings here that will allow you to boot at different profiles.
Okay. Some
safety things that we have. So one of them is memory safe. So if you boot with incorrect memory settings, too high of timings, too tight of timings, it'll actually boot at your last good memory booting settings.
Okay.
So just things like that in order to make easy overclocking for guys who are interested in doing that.
All right, so it makes it a lot more easy to roll back to known safe settings, especially if you're going for a world record overclock or something like that. Sometimes when you hit that wall, it's easy to be able to jump back and not have to clear your entire, all of your UEFI settings or that sort of thing. Also, lots of voltage read points on here as well, and just a ton of features. We're going to be giving these boards a more proper going over, of course, on Newegg TV, so stay tuned for that. We'll be going over all the features of the board. Let's move on, shall we, to the G1 Sniper series. So we have a couple boards in this series right now. Let's start with the G1 Sniper 5. G1 Sniper being a very popular series designed specifically for gaming.
Yep, specifically for gaming. Obviously, one of the key components for a gaming motherboard is having good quality audio. We've definitely, not skipped out on the audio on this motherboard. As you can see, this section here, this is our audio section. This gold-plated thing is our Creative Soundcore 3D. So we've actually taken Creative's sound chip and hardware chip and put it on board our motherboard. We're actually the first motherboard manufacturer to do that in a couple of generations ago.
That is a quad-core sound chip, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Nice.
And one of the most unique things about this motherboard is we have this guy, this OP amp socket. Basically, you can remove the amp. You can have different amps and change your sound quality based on this different socketed guy. Each motherboard comes with 2 amplifiers. You can buy amplifiers online. They range anywhere from $1 a piece to $20, $30, $40.
Okay, and that's gonna, if you go for a higher end one, that's gonna improve your sound quality overall?
Yeah, so different amps have different sound characteristics. Some are good if you're listening to really bassy music. Some are good for trying to listen to vocal, maybe speaking or gaming. So different people have different preferences, so we wanted to be able to say, hey, you can customize your audio quality, and you can do it for relatively inexpensive. So
nice. We also have the specialized heatsink here that has the integrated water block, so you can easily integrate it into a water cooling system if you so desire. Also a fan on there, so if you're not doing water cooling, it's still going to work just as well. Lots of onboard features, surface mounted power reset, clear CMOS button, all that good stuff. As far as SLI Crossfire X compatibility, what do we have set up here?
So this is actually using a PLX chip, so it does do 4-way Crossfire, 4-way SLI.
Very nice.
This board also has dual LAN. It's got Intel LAN as well as Qualcomm Atheros Killer LAN.
Oh, beautiful. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Intel kind of well known for their compatibility and stability overall. The Killer is very well known for being gaming specific. You can do packet prioritization to make sure that you're not having any lag spikes or anything while you're gaming.
Yeah, so definitely this is our high-end gaming board. This is our Sniper 5. We've put most of our high-end features on this motherboard.
All right. And of course the continued black and green color scheme from the Sniper series. And we also have a micro ATX version of this board. Thank you very much, Colin. Bear in mind this is a pre-production model, so it's missing the heatsink.
Yes.
And we also have an EMI shield over the Soundcore 3D chip.
Just to show you guys the actual Creative Soundcore 3D right there.
Right down there in the corner. Now, as far as this, comparing, say, the Sniper 5 to the M5, apart from being a smaller form factor, what other sort of differences are there between the two boards?
Obviously, it's a smaller form factor, so we had to sacrifice some PCI Express lanes. We just don't have room to put them all on board. Actually, we're still using digital power for this board.
Okay.
We're still using the black capacitors. You can actually see the power stages right here because I don't have the heatsink covering it.
Nice.
But you still have a lot of the power buttons, like you said before, BIOS switcher, clear CMOS reset. It still has all of our audio features that we just talked about. It's got the OP amp socket. It's got the Nichikan capacitors. It's also got a front headphone amplifier and the OP amp. So definitely a lot of audio features, and it also does have the separation of the audio, the digital side from the analog side.
Okay. And a feature of all of these boards, which is a feature of the Z87 chipset that we haven't touched on too much, but all these boards are going to have 6 serial ATA revision 3 60 gigabits per second ports thanks to the Z87 chipset. They're also going to support RAID configurations. So if you're really into SSDs and you needed more SATA 6 on your motherboard, well, you're going to get that with all of these boards across the line. Now, that's sort of our quick overview all the way from bottom to top that we have here. Now, we've had a look at those, but let's take a closer look at some of the features. We have a demonstration right over here. And this is an impressive configuration right here. Except for the heatsink fan, I was giving Colin a hard time about that, but that's okay. These are actually NVIDIA's new GTX 780 graphics cards, and you guys have no less than 4 of them here demonstrating the 4-way SLI capabilities of, I believe, which board is this? This is one of the.
This is our OC Force board.
Okay, so this is the OC Force that it's running right there. And as you can see, this one is rocking a really, really awesome video card configuration. But what we're actually going to use this to show you is the new Gigabyte UEFI, or BIOS, as it is sometimes still called.
Correct. So basically, we used to have this thing called 3D BIOS, and we've completely revamped our entire BIOS. We've made a very unique and customizable BIOS.
Okay.
If you'll notice here, we have different status information, CPU status, memory, system status. This gives real-time information of what's happening with your system.
Okay.
And you can see this at all times. Down below, you see what the board name is. You see what the BIOS version is, even the BIOS date. So information for users who are overclocking or doing whatever.
Okay.
Real-time voltage, fan speed, and temperature graphs. So that's sort of the status updates showing you what's going on with your motherboard. But we can also do a lot of customization. As you see, there's different tabs here, and these different tabs have different settings linked to the tab. Here is more of our performance or an overclocking tab.
Okay.
We can easily add and remove different functions. So as you can see here, if we want to do, let's say, performance, we want to PC health status, and add temperature warning. You can add that to your home screen.
Nice. So whereas before you might have had to dig down into various sub-menus to get down to the actual settings that you wanted to adjust, you can sort of add those, make yourself a customized little tab in there, and then it will automatically pull up. Say you really just want to look at the CPU base clock and the vCore and the vCore offset, and plug those in there, and you have a quick hit look at that.
Yeah, so for example, too, I can CPU base clock. Let's say I want that to disappear. I just hit it.
Colin's just selected it in the right column there, hit the minus button, so it took it off of the shortcut list, and now it is no longer there. So as well as adding, of course, you can remove, customizing it to your preference.
Yep, and we have all of our same features that we've had before. You know, you can make all of your system changes on the fly. You can change your clock frequency, for example, using the slider bar, or you can type it in here just by selecting or scroll down. So a lot of different input methods. Obviously, you can use your mouse. You can also use your keyboard. It's very responsive, and you can also do things like changing your desktop settings. You can toggle for resolution. Okay. So let's say you have a low resolution monitor, so you can toggle that. You can also select your background image. This one has our OC sort of lava background wallpaper, but we'll have different customized gaming ones, or you can actually even use your own image if you want and set up your own.
You just snap a quick picture and set your own UEFI wallpaper. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely customizable. It's much easier to use than our last BIOS, and this will appear on our 8 series motherboards.
Very nice. So there's all your UEFI dual BIOS configurations right there. Now, if you're more into overclocking or adjusting system settings from within the operating system, we also have the Gigabyte App Center over here. So what kind of work have you guys been doing with this?
Yeah, so we also got rid of all of our application software and redesigned it.
Okay.
Basically, our goal was to take our software and make them all look and operate the same, same UI design, and we wanted to have them all live in this thing called App Center. Basically, it's just on your taskbar here. This App Center basically houses everything that you've installed for Gigabyte software.
Okay.
And I'll just click in a few of these. This, for example, is App BIOS. This allows you to flash your BIOS in Windows.
Okay.
As you'll see here, obviously you've got your settings over here, and your tab over here for your main menu items.
Okay.
Each of our software applications will be very similar. For example, USB blocker, same sort of look and feel, and then I also wanted to show you, we've redesigned our Easy Tune. This is our overclocking utility for Windows. We've gotten rid of the number. There's no longer Easy Tune 6, so it's just called Easy Tune. And we've completely redesigned it. So we have similar things to what we have in the BIOS. This is like system information, real time, what your CPU fan's doing, what your CPU voltages are, CPU frequencies are. So real time monitoring. Also, we have, let me show you quickly here. When you install your CPU and your memory, it'll obviously, when you boot, the system will see what that memory and CPU is, and it'll configure different profiles for overclocking for you. So basically, light, medium, extreme, depending on what your usage, or even if you want to do energy saving, you can do that. And then, of course, advanced mode. Advanced mode lets you do them manually yourself.
Okay, so kind of similar to the way you might handle things if you're actually still in the BIOS?
Yep, so you can set up different profiles and save them. You can do your adjustments like you want, and save them and apply, and it'll make it on the fly. You don't have to reboot to do a lot of these settings.
Very nice. I see a smart fan utility too. Might I dare guess that this is to automatically calibrate the fans that you have connected to your system?
Correct. So for our 8 series, we've actually added a lot more smart fans than we've ever had before.
Okay.
Our high-end boards have over 9 different fans total.
Wow.
So we've got a CPU fan, we've got an OPT water block fan, and multiple system fans that you can control. So, for example, when you hit calibrate, it'll actually test out all your fans that you have connected.
Okay.
It'll take them at the highest RPM and go down to the lowest, and then it'll adjust different profiles for, if you want a really quiet operation, or if you're doing overclocking, you want more of an extreme sort of thing. Or if you want to do advanced, you can actually set your own RPMs based on temperature. So each of your different fans, you can see different fans support here. This one has CPU and OPT, and your just different system fans. This is our UD3 board, so obviously it doesn't have as many CPU fans and or system fans as our other boards.
Okay.
But you can still do a lot of controlling. Obviously, you just drag and drop your inflection points. Here you have the duty cycle and temperature.
All right, so an easy way to set up custom fan curves, and you can do that individually for all the fans that are connected to the system.
Yep.
Very nice.
And of course, you still have system alerts, set up your system alerts, and 3D power. You can actually control the digital power design, different settings of that.
Very cool. Well, I think that just about rounds it out. So this has been our very quick, given the amount of actual detail that we could have gone into here, this has been a very quick overview of the entire product stack that we have available here for Gigabyte's launch of their Z87 motherboards, 8 series boards, all compatible with Intel's new 4th generation core processors, which have been previously known as Haswell up until when they just recently launched. Colin, thank you so much for all this information and for talking to us today.
No, thank you for stopping by.
No problem. And thanks to all you guys for watching. Of course, if you'd like to see more tech videos, check them out on our Newegg TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video because it was really informative, I think. It was informative for me at least. And we'll see you all in the next video.